Hello everyone, and welcome to Retro Brick Reviews, and welcome to part 2 of my review of LEGO Harry Potter set number 75954, Hogwarts Great Hall. In part 1 of this review, I took a look at the minifigures and side builds of the set, so now in part 2 we'll be taking a look at the Great Hall itself, as well as a couple of things that are inside. So, without further ado, let's get started. So we'll be starting by taking a look at the exterior of the Great Hall and Main Tower before we go inside. And something I'm going to mention just to start with is that the two main builds, the hall and the tower, are connected. There's no way to disconnect them. It's not like they're connected with pins or anything like the 2010 Hogwarts or like the segments of the Whomping Willow. They are fully connected. Just wanted to put that out there so that if you're wondering why I don't review them separately, or if you're just curious, they are a single connected build. But anyway, starting off, we'll take a look at the build of the hall itself, since that is the main part of the set. And of course, we'll get to the exterior of the tower section in a minute, because it doesn't really fit well because the tower is so tall. But so I can't have it all in one frame. But anyway, starting off with the Great Hall itself, you can see that there are on the front you have a bunch of different lattice windows. I believe in total those are 24 different windows. And each and every one has a new mold for a window insert that is sort of like the lattice windows that LEGO's had for some time, and sort of the half-rounded mirror, window piece, but now they're just to fit in the 1x2x2 mirror. Why do I keep saying mirror? Window section. And you can just see, like, yeah, you just have 24 of those pieces right there, and I believe in total the set includes 40. So, yeah, you get a ton of that new window insert. Pretty nice. But yeah, there are just some columns separating those, and then you have a bunch of the Nexo pyramid pieces remolded into a light tan color. You have 9 of those here, which look pretty good. And then those those pillars are just topped off with a cylinder brick and then a rubber spike piece molded in light tan. And something I should mention is that throughout this build you can see that it's not just all tan. There is also some of the nougat color, mostly used in the molded brick pieces, but also in some 1x1s, and that's just to add a bit of extra flair, so it's not all just plain light tan. I feel as though maybe dark tan would have been a better contrast instead of nougat, but it works pretty well. Yeah, and you can see that on the bottom you'd have a lot of rocky sections and some foliage around. And then up on top you can see the roof, which is pretty simple, but on it you do have some nice new pieces, which maybe it'll help if I turn it to the side a bit so you can see them a bit better. They're a 1x1 sort of sloped piece, but it's sort of like a half slope, like it's a 1x1 piece, but it goes up in both directions. You can sort of see how that works, and I'll get more on that piece when we get to the extra pieces part of the video, where we can get a bit of a closer look, but I think they look pretty good here. Yeah, pretty nice. And then up on the very top of the hall, you have 3 spires. 2 are just have the same spike piece in a dark bluish gray, but the center one actually has the unicorn horn piece, which is nice, as well as the Disney specially molded castle top piece that has some shingles on it. So, pretty nice. Sort of turning this out to the side as best I can. So yeah, here you can see the side, sort of. You can see that there is the huge bay window, which has another 15 more of those new window inserts in the window pieces, which look pretty good. You have more rocky designs around, and you have sort of some hollow sections for what I guess would be some windows. Yeah, it looks pretty good. I like the Mixel's tooth pieces being used to get a bit of texture on there. And you can also see that for the actual, like, sort of the shape of the hull, they decided not to slope the sort of triangular look of the sides. Well, not really triangular, but, you know, but it slopes on both sides. They decided not to actually slope that, and it is just done with brick construction. I think it looks fine. I mean, would sloping have made it look better? Yeah, but I think it just looks fine with just the normal brick pieces. It works well enough in my opinion. But yeah. Before we go around to the other side, I should probably mention one thing, and that is that this is not at all in scale on the outside or the inside. And if you want to know what I mean, this is Harry next to the Great Hall. Yeah, this thing definitely is not at all to scale. But that's okay, since, I mean, if this thing was to scale, it would end up being like $600, and no thank you. But anyway, turning the hall more around to this side, as I break something, of course. Give me just a second to reattach this, no. I apologize that this snapped off. But anyway, there we go. That's where it goes. Anyway, here on this sort of front section, you can see the entryway. You have a 2x2 round tile piece, which has a sticker on it for a clock. At the front, you have two large double doors, which can open, and that isn't entirely accurate, as really that should just be one smaller door, but LEGO did something here, basically being that the entrance to the Great Hall shouldn't, like, where we see them enter in the film, like the actual hall section of it, isn't actually on the outside, because, of course, in the movie they go inside the castle and then through double doors into the hall, so I do like that they decided to include the double doors, even if they're not accurately placed. But, yeah, I think it's pretty nice. And those can open, of course, although we're not going to take a major look inside until later on. Anyway, around the sides you have a railing that, as I demonstrated a minute ago, is kind of fragile, but it works pretty well, in my opinion. And then you can see that you have two more of those new spike pieces in light tan. And then up here, for a lightning rod, we have the ski pole piece in sand green, which is nice. And then here you have some 2x8 plates for sort of a sloped roof design, and unlike the main roof that is actually on both sides of this. You can't really see it. Yeah, I'll just pull it up so you can see it, because I don't want to turn the thing around to the back just yet. But yeah, oh, and also here you have a very tiny and disappointing boat dock. I mean, like, I don't really care about the boat dock that much, but I mean, that is pretty pathetic. But again, doesn't really matter. Doesn't really detract from the set that the boat dock is very small, just kind of a funny thing more than it is disappointing. But anyway, moving on to the tower, because that is also included, of course. It is a pretty big tower, and again, I can't really fit it all in one shot. So I'm going to start with the bottom of it and then work our way up. So here at the bottom of the tower, you can see you have an open doorway, which is nice, and then you have the older style of lattice window piece used in the more standard Harry Potter window holder. I don't really know what you would call the window holder, but, you know, the brown piece. This, with just the more standard lattice inside of that. You have some rock outcropping going up pretty high on the castle, which is sort of interesting. And here you can see this spire, which ends in the standard gray spike there, which is nice. And again, that is the newly molded piece with shingles. And then around the side, you have what I like to call the classic Harry Potter castle side piece. Well, not really side, but, well, I don't really call it anything. I just made something up because that's how I roll. But no, it's just sort of the piece that LEGO uses to give the castles some sort of roundness. I mean, it just makes them sort of octagonal, but it works well here. It has a nice sticker on it with some moss growing in the bricks. It's good. Then around the side you have the last of the new window pieces, as well as just a bit of rock outcropping, which is nice. But then up here you can see that for the next two floors of the tower, instead of using the more classic octagonal piece, or well, it's a 45-degree angle piece, but makes it octagonal anyway, you can see that instead, up here, you have a much larger quarter cylinder piece, which I really don't like, because in my opinion, having the quarter cylinders really means that you're barely building anything for the tower. Like, on the bottom, there is some simplicity, but really, like, this section only takes up this much. The cylinder piece takes up this much. Pretty huge. I mean, like, down here, you still have to build the front, the doorway, and you build up this section of wall. Here, you have two cylindrical pieces, a 1x2 column, and then a 1x4 column. Pretty disappointing there. And then you just have a couple of very obvious stickers. I mean, LEGO, why couldn't you just have the entire piece have a sticker on it? Having just that little section looks so bad. And anyway, if we can sort of turn it so we can see over here, you can see that there is another sticker there. So, yeah. Moving up, you can see that on this side we have another sticker, then we have a lattice window again, and then here we have two more stickers on these cylinder pieces, which look perfectly mediocre, but seriously, at least on this one, like, they put on two stickers. The stickers take up a sizable amount of the piece. Just make the stickers take up the entire piece. It would look so much better. But anyway, moving away from that, we can move up to the very top of the tower. Wait a second. Well, no, we don't want to exit my horribly crafted set. I very much apologize for that. Yeah. But anyway, here you can see that the castle top is interestingly done, because, of course, LEGO doesn't make a sort of cone or half-cone pieces as big as they wanted to make this castle top. I mean, they have, you can see that at the very top you have a cone with another ski pole for a lightning rod, then you have a 2x2 cone, then a 4x4 half cone, then you have the Millennium Falcon cockpit piece, again in dark bluish gray, and LEGO doesn't really have anything that's big enough to match up to that piece. Like, not even the UCS Falcon cockpit is big enough to match up to the bottom of the normal Falcon cockpit. So, LEGO's solution, and just wing it. So you have some slopes here, both on the front and on the sides. You just and the railing broke again, of course, because why wouldn't it break again? I mean, I'm trying to make a review, and despite the fact that it has never broken in the nearly a week that I've had this set, of course it's going to break multiple times in this review. But anyway, you have you can just see the 3 tall slopes there. And then filling that in is some plates, sort of some wedge plates. You have some cheese slopes to represent sort of some windows. And then you have these sort of 1x2 curved pieces that also have sort of a half slope to them. These pieces, I like them. They look pretty nice. They add some nice shaping to the tower. But yeah, personally, I think the top looks pretty good, although maybe it could have looked a bit better if, like, they would have just put some gray plates going up the center here. I don't know, it just seems sort of odd how there is sort of an odd gap between these two, and I feel as though if they'd filled that in, it would have looked a bit better, but Also, one more thing. This is sort of a minor thing, but I think it would have been cool if they'd been able to include these sort of triple spires that are supposed to come off of the right side, or I guess from where we're looking at it, the left side of the tower. You know, coming off of here, there should be a set of triple spires, so that would have been a nice inclusion, but I'm fine with them not doing it. And one last thing before we move on to the interior that I forgot to mention. Here you just have a little micro figure on each side of the doors. Well, not a micro figure, a nano figure. Pretty cool stuff. I like it. So yeah, that is pretty much everything on the exterior of the Hogwarts Great Hall. So, now let's move on to the interior of this pretty nice set. So here we have the interior of the Great Hall. I'm doing this in sections, so we'll start with the interior of the Great Hall, and then we'll move on to the main tower, but starting with the Great Hall, as I say for the third or fourth time, I think the interior here is pretty well done. I mean, it could have been done better, but it's alright. I'm starting off by sort of tilting this. You can see that at the back you have the house table, which just has a couple of goblets on it, but it looks nice. And then you do have 3 chairs for staff members. You have 2 normal chair pieces, one in the front, one in the back, if I can point at them in the correct order. And then you also have Dumbledore's chair, which is a bit more built up. It has the Nexo Knight's shield at the back. So, for example, we could just take Dumbledore and McGonagall and seat them here. And of course there is another staff chair for a third member. You could put Quirrell there, or Snape, or whoever you have. I'm just gonna leave it empty though, because there is another place on the set where I would much prefer to have Quirrell. And anyway, you can also see that there is a little trophy, I'm guessing the House Cup, sitting behind Dumbledore, which is nice. Anyway, going back into the hall, you can see that there are 4 house tables, which are interestingly done, I'll go with, because you can see that, of course, the tables are half-studded, half-tiled, which is a weird choice. I would have preferred if they were just all studded, but it's fine, I guess. I mean, I think they did it so that it would look better from the specific angle you're viewing this from the back, but, I mean, obviously, if you open the doors and look at it from that grand entrance into the hall, it will look rather strange. But anyway, on the tables, you have some food. Specifically, you have a cupcake on one table, another table has a chicken leg, one has sort of, I guess, an ice cream item, and then the fourth has a teapot and teacup. Neat stuff. And anyway, you can see that the benches are only 1 stud thick, which makes sense since the figures here have short legs, but what's odd is that you'd think that the benches would be right next to the tables, but no, there you have the bench, then you have the table, but in between you have a full extra stud of space, which is odd because you kind of would want to get your figures close to the table, and it's especially odd because that means that there is quite a bit of wasted space in here. Like you have, if you were to remove that, if you were to push the bench 1 stud closer to the table, or vice versa, then you would have an extra 2 studs of space in here. And what's rather odd is that each table only has the bench on one side, so, you have the bench over here, but you don't have one on the other side. On the other side, instead, you have the bench for another table. So I think it would have been better if they would have cut out that extra stud of space and instead just had a bench on both sides, which would have taken up the same amount of space. Yeah, but, I mean, both ways work, I guess. It's just that I feel as though it would have looked a bit better, and maybe even played a bit better, to have 2 benches on each side and to just cut out that weird extra space that goes completely unused. Anyway, then in the back you have the fireplace, which just has a couple of pieces of fire inside. you can see that on the right you have a couple of clips for brooms. You have a black one in the back and a brown one in the front. And then up top you have a couple of banners. On the right you have one for Slytherin, and on... wait, no, if I can even think. On the left you have one for Slytherin, and on the right you have one for Gryffindor. I'm sorry, it's very late at night when I'm recording this, so yeah. But anyway, what's nice about these, though, is that the Gryffindor banner can be flipped around to show Hufflepuff, and the Slytherin can flip around to show Ravenclaw, which are also pretty nice designs. Personally, Ravenclaw might be my favorite of the 4 banners, so I'm going to flag Gryffindor and Ravenclaw, because why not? And then up top here you do have some floating candles. You only have 4, and these are the normal candle pieces that appear in most of the sets, just attached with some black droid arms to some bars. I mean, so they don't really look like they're floating, but they work well enough, in my opinion. Definitely the best version of the floating candles we've seen in a LEGO Great Hall to date. So, yeah. Overall, is the interior of this Great Hall the best? I mean, in terms of LEGO Great Halls it is, but I mean, it definitely could be better, because, like, they could have maximized the space by taking out that extra stud between the table and bench. And, I mean, I don't know, it just sort of bugs me, because that does mean that there is quite a bit of wasted space in here, because with that space they could have either put in a second bench, or had a much better walkway between the tables. You know, because of the fact that there is only 2 studs of space between the tables now, because of the fact that, again, there's a stud of wasted space here, stud of wasted space here, and a stud of wasted space between these back tables and the hearth. You can't really get that Chamber of Secrets ending with Hagrid standing in the center of the aisle, which I kind of would have liked to be able to have here, so that's a bit of a missed opportunity, and overall I think it's a bit odd that the hall does have kind of some it does end here, when you consider that if we switch over here, you can see that the tower extends a solid 6 studs further back. So I kind of would have preferred if just the floor of the hall would have also gone back that far, so as to make it equal with the tower, because, I mean, if you're going to have something go back that far, just have it all go back that far. At least in my opinion, I think that would have definitely given us a lot more space in the hall. But really, like, for the amount of space that is in the hall, it was pulled off very well, and I really do like this interior. I know I have been a bit harsh towards it, but overall it is quite nice. You have a lot of space to put figures. For example, I don't know why I haven't done this yet, but you do have, like, again, you have room to put your figures. So, for example, we could put Draco here, Susan here. I'm just going to have them all facing towards the camera, because why not? And Ron and Hermione. And yes, you can have 3 students sitting at each bench, which is nice. So, yeah, and then we'll just stick Harry in here. So, yeah, you can have 3 students per house, which is pretty nice. You can seat a total of 12 at the hall, as well as 3 staff members. So, pretty nice stuff. But anyway, moving on over to the interior of the main tower. Here we have a lot less going on, which I'm not the biggest fan of, but it's alright. At the bottom floor, you can see that the main thing here is a magical staircase, which is, of course, just the standard Harry Potter staircase piece, just in a nougat color. Off to the side, you can see that there is, interestingly, a push broom instead of a magic broomstick. Weird choice for an accessory, but it works alright. And you can see on the other side here, we just have a frog. Don't know, a yellow frog, in fact. I don't know why there's a yellow frog, but there certainly is a yellow frog. Anyway, moving up to the next room, it is a potions room. You can see in there you have a table featuring a green bottle topped with a green gem, a light blue bottle topped with a dark blue gem, and a golden goblet. Then inside, you also have a cauldron, which is the Lego Leprechaun pot piece in gunmetal gray with a gold bucket handle, and then a red crystal to show something exploding out of it. Then here you have the actual Lego cauldron piece, just with a couple of green crystals inside. Pretty nice stuff. I mean, I feel as though this is an all-right potions room, although, I mean, I think it's weird that there's a potions room here when there's also a much bigger and better potions room in the Whomping Willow set. I mean, why not include a room for something that's not potions here? Maybe we could have, like, a little classroom, sort of like what they did with the 2011 Hogwarts, where you just had, like, a little chair and a blackboard. Like, I think that could have been a bit better, because, like, again, this is a fine little section. It's just odd when you have of the Whomping Willow, where basically the entire interior is dedicated to potions, and then here you also just have a potions room. Bit redundant, in my opinion. Anyway, next floor up is a little storage room, and in there you can see the sorting hat, which we took a look at in part 1, and it's just sitting on a gold telescope piece. But in there you also have the newer black spider, which is pretty nice to get. This spider in black is only available, you get 1 in this set and then 2 in the Erised set. So that's a pretty nice piece to get here. And then the other thing up here is a treasure chest, which inside features some gems. And if I just pour that out, then you can see that here you have a yellow gem, a clear gem, a bright green gem, a purple gem, and a red gem, which I think is the Philosopher's Stone. Or at least I'm going to call it the Philosopher's Stone, because LEGO should have included the Philosopher's Stone in here instead of just a chest of gems. So yeah, you get the Philosopher's Stone, and then 4 Chaos Emeralds, because why not? So yeah, just putting that back. Yeah, I mean, like, I guess this floor, like, it's just a storage room. I mean, again, they could have done more here, like, I don't, but it's alright. I mean, the sorting hat is great, like, really just having a room for the sorting hat, like, I'm fine with this. The spider is a cool inclusion, and then you just have a chest of Chaos Emeralds, and the Philosopher's Stone, which is nice. And it's cool that you get the Philosopher's Stone, because up top, the final section of the tower, the attic, the Mirror of Erised. Now, don't worry, I will take a better look at this in a minute, but pulling this out of here, you can see that up top, inside of there, we have Fox, the Phoenix, who we will also take a look at in a minute. So they're like the 2 side builds inside of the tower that I mentioned earlier. So yeah, we'll take a look at this once we're done. And I mean, inside here, I mean, it's just the same thing from the back. Yeah. So overall, that is the interior of the Hogwarts Great Hall set. I mean, is the interior anything too fantastic? No, but I think the hall works pretty well, even if, seriously, that thing with the benches does severely bug me, but that's an easy fix, to just move the benches 1 stud closer to the table. And then, like, the inside of the tower is definitely rather shallow. Like, the attic is nice, although it really is just storage for side builds. And then, like, the storage room is fine. The potions room is a bit redundant. I mean, personally, I think what they maybe should have done here is have this floor be Dumbledore's office. Like, just in there have, like, a chair and a desk. And up here could have been a storage room. Just with, like, keep this part the same, to be honest. Like, I feel as though this is a bit of a wasted opportunity. Like, maybe they could have done something up there, but I'm fine with it. But, like, this floor, I think they should have done Dumbledore's office. Like, again, just a chair and a desk. It could have been, like, a nice little inclusion, but, I mean, a potions room is fine. Just bugs me a little bit. Oh, and I forgot to mention that over here, you just have a couple of Technic bricks with holes so that you can connect this to the Whomping Willow set. I will be making a separate video in the future that shows the 2 connected. And, yeah. So So that is pretty much all I have to say about the main build of the Hogwarts Great Hall. Just turning this back around to the front. Overall, the Great Hall is a pretty cool build. I personally really like it. I mean, are there flaws? Yes. I would say that this is one of the more flawed builds of the new LEGO Harry Potter sets. But it also has a lot of great things about it, like the new molds for the new sloped pieces and the new window inserts. You have some great details inside, you have some great details outside. I mean, it's a good set overall. Just there are also some major problems, like the interior having some issues. And then, of course, like, again, I really hate these big quarter-cylinder pieces used for the tower. It's just really lazy, in my opinion, for the tower, not the big... Like, in general, the tower bugs me. The hall, though, is great. So, yes, that's the Great Hall. Now let's move on to the Mirror of Erised right now. So here we have the Mirror of Erised, by far the most stickered thing in any of the new LEGO Harry Potter sets, as this little mirror build has 6 different stickers on it. What that you can see now. There are actually a total of 9, but from the front at any given time you can only see 6. So to start with, the build of this is very simple. I mean, it's just 1 stud thick, and then, like, you have these pillar bricks in the sort of yellowy orange color. Those have a sticker on each side. Up top you have the 1x2 sloped bricks in yellowy orange with a sticker on each side that has actually the sticker there is mirrored, which is nice. And then up on top you just have Erised stickered onto that sort of half triangular prism piece, which is pretty nice. And then you just have some gold highlights. Yeah, but of course the main thing about this that's cool is the sticker for the mirror itself, because the mirror shows Harry with his parents from the Philosopher's Stone, which is a pretty nice design. I mean, Harry is just the new minifigure, but I really like those designs for Lily and James. Really wish that they'd fit into the minifigure series somewhere, or maybe as like a promotional polybag. I don't know, but I think it's a missed opportunity that LEGO didn't make them. But yeah, so like, what I think is maybe a cool thing to do is maybe you could stand Harry in front of the mirror to sort of line him up, the real figure and the mirror, so it's just like he's looking into it. I mean, yeah, is it pretty hard and annoying to line up? Yeah, but I mean, if you do, I think it looks pretty nice and creates a nice effect. And of course, so close. And no, it's not gonna I'm not gonna be able to do it while I'm on camera, because why would I be able to do it while I'm filming? But anyway, a pretty nice design for the mirror. And again, this is sort of why I like that you get a red gem here for the Philosopher's Stone, Professor Quirrell, so you can basically reenact the ending of Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone in the set, which is pretty nice. But anyway, Harry with his parents isn't the only design for the mirror, because if we flip this pane around, you have another mirrored sticker. This time it is Albus Dumbledore with a pair of nice woolen socks. Of course, referencing what Dumbledore told Harry was his greatest desire when he looked into the mirror. Of course, as we all know, if we've read the Deathly Hallows, that isn't actually what Dumbledore would see, but I think it's a nice inclusion by LEGO, just sort of a little funny reference. Also, I think it's interesting that the socks here are a molded piece that are specifically for socks, while, of course, previously LEGO socks are always just on a 1x2 tile. Also, Dumbledore's arms are bent in a way that the minifigure cannot, and his beard is shorter. So a few strange things on this package. Well, did I say package? I mean sticker. Why did I think package? So we may never know. But anyway, yeah. See, I mean, like, I understand the arms and the socks, but, like, I think it's a bit odd that his beard is shorter. But it looks much better than on the actual minifigure. I really wish that they'd done something like this, because this looks really good, to be honest. But anyway, you don't just get 2 panes for the mirror, because if we pull out this one, we get another other window piece, which with 2 more designs. Here we have this first one, which is Quirrell with the stone, most likely to present it to his master, which is of course what Quirrell saw in the mirror at the end of the Philosopher's Stone. And it's pretty nice. I like how the stone here is a very bright red, while the rest of the pane is monochromatic. It's nice. And then the last design we get for the mirror here is Ron as head boy and Quidditch captain. I think it's interesting that they chose to go with the design for young Ron, because I don't think Ron had ever hoped for him to become Quidditch captain and head boy at 11, when, you know, you can't even become head boy until 7th year, so bit of a strange choice there. I think that maybe they should have designed this off of the minifigure series Ron from Prisoner of Azkaban, because at the very least that one looks older than this, but I mean, I still think it's a nice design. It's just maybe not entirely accurate to how it would be in universe. So I think it's great that you get 4 different designs for the mirror, although and I'm guessing the majority of people, are definitely going to keep it with Harry with his parents, because that's just by far the most iconic of the designs from a very somber and important scene in the movie. So yeah, that is the Mirror of Erised. So now let's move on to the final build of the Hogwarts Great Hall set, that being Fawkes the Phoenix. So here we have this buildable design for Fawkes the Phoenix, and I know that a lot of people were disappointed that Fawkes here is brick-built and not a molded piece, but to be honest, I think he looks pretty great here. Removing him from his little perch, you can see that, as I reconnect his tail, because that is a little fragile, I think LEGO did a pretty great job at capturing Fawkes here. Like, you have the clip on top of his head holding a red horn, which of course represents his nice plume. His beak is black, and I think that the head looks pretty good despite being so simple and standard. Then you have a trans-orange plate, which looks a bit odd, but I think it works pretty well, I guess, for making him look like a fiery phoenix, which is, of course, accurate. The stomach is black, and you just have a clip for the feet. You have the wings, which are these sort of 1x2 sloped pieces that are also like a half wedge piece. Don't exactly know how to describe it, but that's nice. These can be angled. For example, you could angle them back if you want Fawkes to fly. And again, the tail piece is just this single 1x4 or curved piece, just very fragilely put on just by one stud. But overall, Fawkes here is pretty nice. I mean, like, yeah, is he a bit fragile? Yeah, but personally, I am glad that LEGO did go with this instead of a mold, because I don't really like molded animals, to be honest. Like, I'm fine with them with, like, Hedwig and Scabbers when there's really no way to do it, but, like, when Fawkes, like, he's at a scale where you could do something brick-built, and I think it worked out pretty well. So yeah, Fawkes the Phoenix is the very last thing in the set. But before we wrap up the review, let's take a look at the set's box and extra pieces. And then I will give my final verdict on the Hogwarts Great Hall. So here we have the box for the Hogwarts Great Hall, and on the front you have, of course, a nice design featuring all of the figures. In the top left, you have the LEGO Harry Potter logo. Top right, you have some Order of the Phoenix art, which is odd since all of the new sets are based off of the first 3 films. Bottom right, you have the Wizarding World logo, as well as a very important disclaimer that the boat does not float. Which, I mean, okay. Yeah, wait a second. That's odd. I thought that the boat piece here did float. Guess I've been wrong my entire life. Oh well. I mean, it doesn't have any holes in the bottom, so you'd think it would float, but apparently it doesn't. Good to know. Then bottom left, you have all 10 figures listed. And I mean, the design here for the box that shows everything included, I think it's pretty good. Although it is a bit odd with Quirrell running from the Basilisk, although in general it's a bit odd to have Quirrell and the Basilisk in the same set, because, I mean, different movies. But yeah, and then, yeah, I feel as though, like, the positioning of most of everything around the hall is nice, although I think it's a bit odd that Susan Bones takes up more space on the box with Ron and Hermione. Like, why is she flying up there with Harry? Lego, like, I understand that we want to make Hufflepuffs feel like they're important, but, like, wouldn't it have made more sense to have, like, Draco up there? Or maybe, like, Ron or Hermione? I don't know, it just seems weird to have such an unimportant character take up so much more space on the box than two of the main characters. And also we can see Nearly Headless Nick demonstrating his minifigure ability to be fully Headless Nick. Good for him. Up on top, we can see all 10 minifigures listed. I mean, nothing too unique here. I mean, we have Harry with the house cup, which is nice. And then we have... the only other thing up here that's really interesting is that Nearly Headless Nick is apparently drinking something. If it's not Mandrake Drought, then or Draught, however you pronounce it, then I don't know how, because, like, he's a ghost, he can't drink things. Wait, now that I think of it, how did he get cured at the end of Chamber of Secrets? He can't take a Mandrake potion, how did that work? But anyway, gonna just forget that plot hole for the moment. And then here you have Hagrid taking the actual size reference. And then turning the box around to the back, you have a bunch more stuff here. You can see that you have the back of the set displayed with everything inside. You can see Quirrell fighting the Basilisk now. Why would he do that? He has Voldemort on the back of his head, and the Basilisk is controlled by Voldemort. What is this? What's going on here? But anyway, then you can see a bunch of the features I've just displayed, including all 4 mirror panes, all 4 banners, except interestingly they show Gryffindor turning to Ravenclaw and Slytherin turning to Hufflepuff, even though it's not that, it's Gryffindor to Hufflepuff, Slytherin to Ravenclaw. So that's strange. You can see Susan Bones being sorted, which is, again, not entirely accurate because she was sorted before Harry or Ron, yet they're both sitting down at what I guess is the Gryffindor table, so that's a bit strange, but oh well. Then you can see what is, I guess, is Harry fighting the Basilisk alongside Fox, and I think it's, I mean, and another thing, like, a lot of oddities here. Why didn't they include the Sword of Gryffindor to go with that scene? I mean, it's kind of important, but oh well. Then you can see 4 students going up to the school with Hagrid, Dumbledore, and McGonagall to greet them, and you just have a demonstration of the magical staircase. Very last thing on the box, on the top, you can see that if you combine both this set with and the Hogwarts Whomping Willow, you get a pretty cool looking Lego Hogwarts display that I'll be showing off in a future video. But for the time being, that is all that we have for this set and this box. So before we wrap up this video, let's take a look at all of the extra parts included with the Hogwarts Great Hall. Being quite a large set, the Hogwarts Great Hall comes with quite a large amount of extra pieces. And to start off, you can see the sort of bracket that holds the wand pieces. There are 2 wands on each bracket, and this is just the dark brown one that's used for Harry and Draco. And unfortunately, or maybe fortunately, I don't know, it doesn't really change the amount included, but anyway, since you use 2 of each color of wand in the set, there are no spare wands in the set of any color. So, I mean, that might be a bit disappointing to some of you. Like, I don't really mind, but I can see why someone might be disappointed by that. So, yeah, no extra wands, but you do get a bracket piece in every color, and 2 wands in every color. It's just that they're all used. But anyway, aside from the brackets, you'd have some rather interesting extra parts in the set. There's a couple fly away. To start with, you have the sort of spike pieces in tan, which, I don't know, I think that might be exclusive to this set, Might be wrong, but I haven't seen these spikes in any set in tan besides this. Then you also have the same piece in dark bluish gray, which also comes in the Whomping Willow, but it's still a good piece to get an extra of. You have a golden bucket handle, a silver unicorn horn, a dark bluish gray nano figure, which is very cool to get an extra of. I love nano figures, so I love getting an extra, of course. You have a sand green ski pole. You have the Nexo pyramid piece in tan, as well as the new sloped piece in tan, which I believe is exclusive to this set at the moment, this entire mold, which is a pretty nice mold. I mean, you can see how it works. It's good. And then besides that, you have just some standard pins, slopes, plates, studs, and tiles. Nothing too special besides that. Oh, actually, no, you do also get the new flame piece for the candle, which is nice to get an extra of. So, yeah, those are the set's extra pieces. You get a bunch of cool ones, no extra wands, but, I mean, a very nice assortment in my opinion. Yeah, so that is the very last thing I have to talk about in this review, so now it's time to move on to the final verdict. So, would I recommend, for $100, the LEGO Harry Potter Hogwarts Great Hall? Well, my instant instinct is to say yes. I mean, this set is amazing, first off, just in terms of the minifigures. I mean, you get the main trio, you get the first you get exclusive versions of Malfoy and Dumbledore, and sure, you do also get versions in the minifigure series, but it is great to get them in just a normal system set. This is the only way in the new line to get McGonagall and Hagrid, two other very major characters, especially Hagrid, who has 4 new molds and is easily the best minifigure in this set. It is the first set in 17 years to include Quirrell, who is just an amazing figure. It is the first ever set to include Nearly Headless Nick, another phenomenal figure, and Susan Bones, who is also pretty alright. And I mean, moving away from figures, I mean, the Mirror of Erised is great, Fox has an amazing design, the hall itself is pretty nice on the exterior, and the interior is pretty alright, but with some very simple rearranging, you could make it amazing. And, I mean, the tower is alright, I guess. I mean, nothing too phenomenal there, but I mean, also nothing too terrible. I mean, I'm not a fan of the aesthetic, but I know that most people don't mind it, and really the whole not liking the fact that it's barely even Lego, because huge parts of it are just single parts. Apparently, I'm the only person who minds that, so yeah. So yeah, my instant instinct, on one hand, is to tell you to say yes, because there's a lot of positives about the set. But there are also a lot of negatives about the set, like that awful basilisk. Or Dumbledore just using a Gandalf beard, when LEGO could have easily just made a new one, or just given him a single hair-beard combo. So that's sort of not too great. And, like, I mean, the tower, I despise the tower. I mean, it looks really bad. And I mean, it's just like, there's barely anything going into it. It's barely even Lego for most of it, as I just said. Like, it might not even be, I don't know if you should even count the tower as part of the construction toy, because it's barely a construction. This is just one piece. This is just one piece. This is one piece. This is one piece. I mean, it's ridiculous. And then the inside, like, yeah, it's pretty good, and it is easy to fix, but I mean, if it's so easy to fix, why didn't LEGO just have it be fixed in the first place? Did not a single person realize that you could have had a much better interior with just some simple rearrangement, and then just including some extra benches? Also, why is there so little food in this set? The 2010 Great Hall had, like, a giant cake, a fruit bowl, a full-on on turkey, and what does this have? A chicken leg and a cupcake. Fantastic. So, yeah. On one hand, I want to be very positive about this set. On the other hand, I want to be very negative about this set. And that is, honestly, very surprising to me that that's what I ended up with, because, like, if you remember, when this set was first revealed, I was in love with it. I thought that this was the best set LEGO had made in years when it was first revealed. And I mean, even after it was revealed, like, only about a month ago, maybe a month and a half, I made an analysis video of this set to go along with my update it to fit with my modern style, and I loved the set then. So what changed between then and now that makes me not like the set nearly as much, and make it so that I have a hard time recommending it to you? And I'll get to my final thoughts in a minute, but I mean, I don't know, maybe it's because this is a lot smaller than I'd originally expected, and yeah, that is a fair thing that I haven't really mentioned up to this point. I mean, I did go into a bit about how it's too short, but in general, I guess the biggest thing here is that when I look at this, I don't feel like I got a $100 build. Like, I look at the Quidditch set, and that is $40. I look at the Whomping Willow, I have $70 worth of stuff. This does not feel like a $100 build. This feels more like an $80 build, maybe a $90 build if you include all the figures, but this set just isn't worth $100 to me. That doesn't necessarily mean I wouldn't recommend it, but I'll get more into that in a minute. But, like, in general, just comparing this to the 2010 Great Hall, which, if you remember, was just 1/4 of a $130 set. So that's probably around 350 pieces if I had to just do a rough estimate, since it was one of the larger parts of the set, but still. I mean, this is a couple studs longer, but it's actually also shorter. The older one was taller. So, I mean, yeah, I understand that LEGO went way more into detail on this one, but that doesn't change the fact that, in the end, it's very small for $100. And, I mean, I don't know what I'm trying to get across here. This set just, it doesn't feel as good as some of the other sets. Like, when I made my Whomping Willow review, I said that set might turn out to be my favorite. And, yeah, the Whomping Willow is my recommendation of the wave. It is the best one in my opinion. But I'm just beating around the bush here. I'm just skirting over to other topics. Would I recommend, for $100, the LEGO Harry Potter Hogwarts Great Hall? The answer to that question is yes. Because, yes, I do have a lot of problems with the set, and it is, in my opinion, the most flawed of the 5 Harry Potter sets. Doesn't mean it's the worst, just means that it has the most wrong with it. It also has a lot of right with it, but that doesn't change the fact that it has a lot wrong with it. Some other sets might not have as much right, but they don't have nearly as much wrong. And I mean, I guess that's a big thing with this set. There are a lot of issues, and none of the other sets really have them. Like, the Erised set doesn't really have anything wrong with it, aside from the minifigures not being exclusive. The Quidditch set doesn't really have anything wrong with it. The Whomping Willow doesn't. The Express doesn't, aside from the figures being stolen from the Erised set. But this set, I mean, again, I've already gone over the problems. Don't feel the need to go over them again, but I will anyway, because why not? Interior, tower, Dumbledore's beard, the basilisk, which is just so awful. I mean, okay. So, if there are issues, why do I think this set, you should still get this set? I mean, if there are better sets, why not just get them? Well, I think the answer here lies in, well, again, this is the only way to get a Draco, or a Dumbledore outside of the minifig series. It's the only way to get Hagrid, or McGonagall, or Quirrell, or Nick. But most importantly of all, it's the only way to get the Great Hall, the most notable and important part of Hogwarts' landscape is right here. you won't really have a complete seeming setup without the Great Hall. And LEGO knew this, which I'm guessing is why the set is $100, when the 878 piece count and the overall size of the set feels more like a $90 set. I mean, like, really an $80 set, but adding in the minifigures, 90 seems fair. So yeah, I mean, LEGO knew this, and that's why this set feels overpriced to me. Because it is overpriced, because they knew that no matter how overpriced it was and whatever problems it held, it's still the most important set of the wave to get. And I have to recommend it to you, even if there are some issues with it. Because those issues, while they do add up to quite a big amount of issue with the overall set, I still can't say no here. I mean, you get so much great stuff here. And it is, again, it's the flagship set. It is the main enchilada of the lineup. So, yeah. Is this the verdict I wanted to give on this set? No. Before I got this set, I had wanted to say that it is the single greatest LEGO set ever made, and you should all buy 10 copies. But now, I mean, I like the set, but I cannot deny that I am disappointed with it, let's say. I definitely don't regret spending $100 on it, and I'm not saying that you shouldn't spend $100 on it. I'm just saying that I must say I'd hoped for a bit better here. I mean, again, this video did come off a lot more depressing than I'd hoped at the end. I really wanted to say that this was the best set, but alas, it wasn't meant to be. Why, LEGO? Why did you have to make the tower so crappy? Why did you have to make the set overpriced? Why did you have to make this not the best set? But that is my opinion on it. I cannot, in good faith, tell you that this is the best set of the lineup. I just can't. I would love to, but there's no way. I can't allow myself to lie and tell you that and ignore the problems here, because there are problems. Now, and again, I do recommend this set, but it's more on what the set is and includes, and maybe not the thing as a whole. Would I wait for a price drop? Well, I kind of want to say yes, but at the same time, if the set might not get a price drop, and then it just might go out of stock and you never get it, so I have to recommend it for $100, because this is a very important set, and it's one that everyone should have. It's just not worth $100, but I have to tell you it's worth $100, and you know what? I think you get the idea. I'm running in circles at this point. There's no point in repeating myself. You get what I'm saying. The set isn't worth $100, but I still spent $100, and you should still spend $100 to get it. Yeah. I'm sorry if this review isn't what you'd hoped for, but the review isn't what I'd hoped for, so yeah. So, thank you all so much for watching this video. Hopefully my next review will be a bit less depressing, both for me and you, and I will see you in the next video. Please don't get mad at me for my opinions. They are just opinions, and I'm mad at myself already for my opinions. So please don't just add to it. So, yeah. I guess I'll see you all in the next video. Farewell, everyone.